How you doing? It's the Butcher here, and today I wanted to make a video kind of updating the state of the Rogue meta right before the Gauntlet, so people can go in, test different builds, kind of get my thoughts on what I'm thinking and everything like that. So I wanted to jump into it here. Previously, I just updated my Druid tier list. That's been the other class I'm playing this season. I didn't even make a Rogue tier list because I thought there was so far and away one clear winner. And that was the basically the setup I have here, your penetrating shot, rapid fire, shadow imbue setup. The other build guide I made for was, it was more niche. It involved using the Andes Visage and the Doombringer here. And it relied on basically the explosions, the poison explosion and shadow explosion from this in order to deal damage. And I still think that build's decent. I don't think it's on the same level, but I'm going to go into both of them. And then also, now a new contender just kind of emerged, and it's a shame we can't try this stuff out before the Gauntlet. Like, I wish there was, I don't know, not even a week, I don't know, it was a couple days, because the Barrage aspect here, so the branching volleys aspect, changed significantly. So, let's start from the beginning. Let's go over what I said, what I thought was the top tier build, and what I still probably do think is a top tier build being the Shadow Imbue Penetrating Shot Rapid Fire build. So a couple things changed. So the biggest thing that changed, or not changed, but we now have it confirmed, it's level 70. I could go into a million reasons why I think that decision is so stupid. So we literally need like 0 survivability whatsoever. So as far as my Paragon boards and stuff, I'm not going to go into that yet. I'm going to update my build guides as I play it, but you'll probably see me take out life and armor and things like that from it. But the most important thing to note here is that Tibalt's Will definitely becomes a very good option. We slot this in. We only have 9.3 armor with that. However, with that being said, like, I was running tier 100s with 11.4 and just taking movement speed off my amulet here, and I was having no problems. I don't think in tier 70 with DR in the chest and with the Shaco, I don't even care about my armor like at all. It's so stupid. Like, they don't even make you like make a decision. Do you want to take more armor, more damage? No, you just might as well take more damage. So the first thing we're probably going to want to do is throw into Tibalt's Will. The second thing, and if I bring it up here for this build, sorry, I just have to find the right screenshot here, and that's right here, is so the vampiric powers they're bringing back. The one of them here is Metamorphosis, and that will allow us to go unstoppable and basically be able to keep our Tibalts up like all the time. So we're probably going to want to rock that on the boots instead of we've been rocking Shadow Step here, or the one that gives you extra charges of Shadow Step. The only thing we're going to most likely want to change is the maximum evade charges, because we're increasing evade's cooldown by, if we get a good roll, 5 seconds. We want to probably have the boots that have the reduction to evade based on attacks. Yeah, so it's these, and it goes up to 1.2 seconds. So we'll probably want to alter that, I would think. But that seems like probably the better option, and then we don't even have to run Shadow Step anymore. So I was looking at what we could run. There honestly aren't really great options, quite honestly. The one that's probably most interesting, I would say, is putting points into Death Trap in order to pull enemies in. But besides that, just using Dash instead of Shadow Step. Even though this gives you some increased movement speed, Dash just, it's a little better like utility. You can just kind of dash through enemies and stuff. Or you could still use Shadow Step as well too. So I guess there's a bunch of choices there, but that seems like something that we're absolutely going to want to do. That does mean, though, we are losing the Umbris aspect. And the Umbris aspect gives us Dark Shrouds. So if and am I getting no lucky hits? Oh, I don't have it on. Jesus. Okay, so like as you can see here, as you get lucky hits with marksman skills, you gain the Dark Shrouds here. And what will actually happen is when you're using your penetrating shot to clear mobs, you'll get huge lucky hit chances, and it will hit so many different ones that you'll basically end up every time you cast it, as long as there's like a decent sized mob there, you'll end up with 5. And we don't, so that, we did get like very good damage reduction from this, which was great, but we don't care about that anymore. What is really important is this movement speed. So it's 4% per Dark Shroud, right? So if we had all 5 up, that's 20% movement speed, which is a significant chunk because that puts our movement speed up to 185, so 15 away from the cap. That is great. And rogues already have great movement speed. So do we want to lose that? I guess is the question. Do we have enough damage? The other option I think would be too is if we threw on Tibalt, it basically replaces what Edge Masters does. So what we could potentially do is, I've actually been experimenting with what's better, accelerating or rapid. And I actually think I went back to it because I was testing it out, but I would actually move rapid, I think, to the amulet. So instead, move rapid to the two-hander. So it gives us 60%. Move accelerating down to our one-hander right here. So we'll get an extra 25%. And that's really, the main thing with that is we want that especially for rapid fire to gain that bonus attack speed. So your arrows will actually fire, like, so this is, you can actually see it'll pop up like even after the first arrow hits. So it allows us to fire those arrows much faster, and then it gives us even more attack speed for our twisting blades. But likely move that down here, and then we could even put Umbris up here, or we could put this one too as well too. We need this though. So this will end up reducing it by 15 seconds, so we can actually take points out of concealment, which might be nice. So those are all options. I'll have to actually see what I want to go with, because it is kind of tough to tell right now. I really don't know if I want to lose this movement speed from Dark Shroud. I think the movement speed is more important than like the damage, because the damage is so comically low. But we'll have to see. So for now, like I said, it's in testing, but that's kind of what I would recommend. And I mean, we could even do double damage here. Like I said, we could lose these, or we could lose attack speed if we wanted. I don't know. It's interesting, I guess, is the best way to put it right now. What we really want to do. And then the next thing to talk about with this build is going to be, and this will be with Barrage as well too, which I'll show off in a second, is so there was actually a glitch with Weapon Mastery where, so if you see with crossbows, we were getting 30% multiplicative critical strike damage. We're actually getting a lot more than that. So you can just see if I attack this dude, well, I had that thing up, so that doesn't really make much sense. But I mean, we're hitting it to 5 millions. If we use our Shadow Imbue, I mean, 6 millions, we get into 7 millions like per arrow. It's crazy. So we're absolutely melting everything. That was not largely, but a lot of that was the fact that this Weapon Mastery was bugged. And now it's no longer bugged. With that being said, that'll decrease our damage. What they also did change, though, was the Precision Key passive here. So instead of 6 stacks, you will only need 4. Okay? And the big thing with that, honestly, is it automatically critically strikes. So if we want to get our combo points up, and we cast 3, because we want to get the, what is this too? The Expectant, I believe it's called. Yes, the Expectant aspect, where we get boost to our core damage up to 30x based on the basic skill. So we want to cast 3, right? So we only need 1 crit, because a crit grants you 2 stacks in order to reach maximum stacks, and then our skill is guaranteed to critically strike. So we are currently sitting at a crit strike chance of 40. We might be able to go lower on this and add like damage or something to like a ring, or lucky hit chance instead of crit strike chance maybe on the gloves could be an option too. That's the other thing I wanted to note. And they said they are changing, I'm not really exactly sure, they are changing how this interacts. I think it was doing too much damage, so you probably should get less on that too. But anyway, that's basically it for the Penetrating Shot Rapid Fire Rogue, especially the Shadow Imbue one, which I think is by far the best. But what I wanted to jump into next was, so unfortunately I can't show off the new version, I have screenshots of it, but they changed the branching volleys aspect for Barrage. So let me just slap this on here. I guess I'll put it on for, let's just put it on here. It doesn't really matter, does it? We're just using it to show it off. So let's get some multiple training dummies here. And let's take Barrage. And just remember, I don't have anything set up for Barrage in this build. I don't have any extra points in it. I'm not taking any of these, although, well, I guess I'm taking away this, so I just go like this. We would take this, and then we would take, which one is it? I forget actually which one I was thinking about taking. We don't really need crit strike chance, and we don't really need vulnerable, so you could probably even save a point. I would probably just take the vulnerable, honestly. But with that being said, so the way they're changing Barrage, if I can pull it up here. Okay, so as you can see, this is the old aspect right here. So your arrows have a 25% chance to split into 2 arrows whenever they ricochet. The new aspect is massively buffed, like insanely buffed. It's pretty shocking for mid-season, honestly. This was probably like the biggest buff to a skill, even with a lot of changes like Necromancer and stuff. The biggest buff to any skill might have just been Barrage. This is crazy. So they increase the damage arrows that ricochet from Barrage from 40% to up to 80%. So that wasn't even in there, and now we can go up to 80%. And Barrage's arrows now have a up to 60% chance to split into 2 arrows whenever they ricochet. So that's more than doubled from the previous amount. Plus you're getting up to 80% more damage. So it's just crazy what you're getting from this. So if we look at the way Barrage works, okay, so the way it works, you shoot 5 arrows, you shoot them up into the air, or you shoot them outwards, excuse me, and then they deal damage, and each arrow has a 20% to ricochet, 20% chance to ricochet off an enemy up to 1 time. So obviously we're increasing that, and then ricochets only deal 40% of the arrow's base damage, but then we're increasing that again with the new aspect here. So, and then what combo points do for this is just give it more damage. And then, like I said, so right here is a good one. So it's increased for 100% for arrows that damage a vulnerable enemy or critically strike. We should be critically striking essentially 100% of the time. So they should always be ricocheting. So let's pop this, let's show it off here. And we'll see what kind of damage it's doing. I mean, this is with no points into it. It's doing crazy damage already, and it's not ricocheting though, which I don't know why. It's not ricocheting. Oh, it's because I'm shooting rapid fire. Oh my god. Okay. I was so confused for a second. I apologize. But you can see we're still doing, we're doing crazy damage before, but you can still, it's doing good damage, and it's ricocheting to all these other enemies. So if we get big mobs, Barrage can be really, really good. Like, and you shadow imbue it, and then you cast 3 here, and then it just goes all over. And we'll probably have a similar effect to penetrating shot, honestly. So I mean, this is like really good, and it could be a new meta. I mean, it just ricochets all over the place. It does a ton of damage, and there's a chance too that, I don't know, we could even potentially take rapid fire out with this. Maybe we're gonna have to see. But Barrage is definitely in contention. My attack speed's a bit low because I took off the rapid aspect. But yeah, rapid fire is interesting. The only thing here is you just saw him freeze. Its lucky hit chance is only 19%. And this is a great aspect here. So it's with Shadow Imbued Skills. We have a 75% chance, a lucky hit chance, to this cold damage and then chilling them and then freezing them. This actually ends up doing a ton of damage. Penetrating Shot's lucky hit chance is way higher, and then your combo points actually increase the lucky hit chance as well too. So that's why I would probably say I would stick with this. But Barrage might just do so much damage and ricochet everywhere that it could be better. So Barrage is like a new contender now, and it's a shame we can't try out like the new aspect until it actually drops. So that's something we're gonna have to wait on. And I probably will be making a Barrage build guide because I definitely want to try it out. But the last build I want to talk about here, let's go back to my original one. And like I said, so if you do this, and then like instantly pop 3 or 4, I guess it was, I forget. Either way, but this is like a small mob. But when you shoot your penetrating shot, you're like instantly popping these, and it's giving us really good movement speed, which I really don't want to lose. So it's going to be interesting how we're going to try to sort this out. But anyway, the last build I want to talk about is the Andariel's nuke, basically, as I called it, or Andariel's bomb, whatever it was. Or the Andy bomb, whatever. And that was, like I said, so it was using Andariel's Asajj and Doombringer and their explosions, along with X-Fouls, to basically do all the damage. And it was super fast. It had good AoE clear. It had one very big drawback where the boss damage wasn't great. The one thing I'll say here is the boss damage now. I mean, they're level 70 bosses. Like they're not good. So like that might be an option as well too. It is very fast. And so there's also an interesting aspect they added. Well, first of all, we were using Flurry on it because we wanted the combo point bonuses for this. So as we attacked, it gave us attack speed increase, which is like everything, because the more we attacked, the more lucky hit procs we got to exploit all those things. And then they're also increasing damage by 10. We weren't relying on the damage, but it's still nice to have. Again, those monsters are so low level that Flurry will just end up doing decent damage. And then they're also buffing improved and advanced down here. So we were using the stun, and I believe if I look up the patch notes, I apologize, that's like the one thing I didn't pull up is the patch notes. I believe it stuns easier. It used to be you had to evade through enemies to stun them for 2.5 seconds. Let me just see real quick. Sorry, right here. Where are you, Rogue? It's the last one. So now it is... Okay, so one of them... So if Flurry hits a vulnerable enemy to make all... So this is improved. So this is this one right here. So this is if Flurry hits a vulnerable enemy, it will make all enemies hit by that cast vulnerable for 3 seconds. It's actually pretty good. Or that was actually pretty trash. And now the new one, which I was trying to say is pretty good. Flurry deals 20% multiplicative damage to vulnerable enemies. If Flurry hits any vulnerable enemy, it will make all enemies hit by the cast vulnerable for 3 seconds. So like I said, with the lower tier monsters, that damage could be nice. The advanced Flurry... And we really use this for survivability plus bosses to be able to stagger them super fast. I don't even know if we'll need this anymore. But the stunning, I should say. But it was previously, like I said, it was evading through an enemy, causing next cast a Flurry to stun enemies 2.5 seconds. So now it's evading through an enemy, causing next Flurry to deal 30% multiplicative damage and stun enemies for 2.5 seconds. So... we're just getting more damage. And then Rapid Fire's damage was actually increased by 10% too. I think that's to offset this nerf a little bit. It's still not going to be anywhere close to what we were doing. And I guess the final thing to mention, which I don't think is really going to matter for most builds, it could. They brought Forceful Arrow and Heartseeker here in line basically with the cast speed of Puncture. And the reason people love Puncture so much was... or one of the reasons I should say, is because the cast speed was so much faster than these other skills up here, besides maybe like these Cutthroat skills, but these definitely than these 2 Marksman skills. But they basically brought these in line with Puncture. I don't think they made any changes to these. You could have the Heartseeker increase the critical strike damage, I guess, theoretically, but being able to apply Vulnerable with Fundamental is super nice. and it being able to throw out 3 blades is also super nice. So I think most people are going to rock with Puncture still. But the thing we want to, I guess, jump into here is the crux of the Andy's nuke build, I think, did get a lot better, and it did get one aspect here, this Moonrise aspect, if you see right here. So Metamorphosis would also be good on that too, to keep our Tibalt's up. But I think we had, I don't think we want to give up our boot spot because we're using the utility aspect on there. But the Moonrise aspect here is damaging enemy with a basic skill grants you 4% attack speed for 10 seconds, stacking up to 5 times, so 20% attack speed. Upon reaching maximum stacks, you enter a Vampiric Blood Rage, gaining 80% multiplicative basic skill damage and 15% movement speed for 10 seconds. So, I guess what's kind of the interesting part here is for that build we're attacking so much with basic skills, we would get like a permanent 20% buff basically to our attack speed, and then we get 15% movement speed, which would be pretty nice too. The basic skill damage would be nice, but it's not really the important part. The important part is we would basically be guaranteed these 2 buffs because we're attacking so much with basic skills. So that's definitely something we could look to incorporate into that build as well too, and I think that's actually a pretty big buff for it, and it might be pretty good. And our Puncture, it might even be worth throwing points into it, because right now, I mean, the damage, the monster level is so low that we can like wipe things out maybe with just the damage from Puncture if it gets that huge boost. There might even be like a Puncture build you could run with the what are they called? Is it these ones? Yeah. These where like you just do all your damage from Puncture. I don't know. It being tier 70 is pretty disappointing in my opinion, and it's gonna make these builds interesting. It's like purely based on movement speed. The survivability is out the window. But I will be updating my build guides as I play it with both the Druid and the Rogue, and updating, you know, my builds and what I've experienced success with, and letting you guys know kind of my progress with that. But this was kind of the state of the Rogue meta going into it. Like I said, I think the best is still the Penetrating Shot, Rapid Fire Rogue. However, Barrage now becomes very interesting, and I think the Andariel's nuke got a buff, while this build did. I guess it's a nerf because they fixed the bug here, but this bug was causing this to do just insane damage. This will also affect Barrage too, to keep in mind. So, like I said, still think my number 1 is this build, but it got a little bit more interesting on the Rogue front, where I think before we kind of had a clear winner, and we weren't really, thinking too much about anything else. But let me know what you guys think. That's kind of my updated State of the Rogue video. And then we have the Gauntlet coming out tomorrow, so we'll be able to test some of this stuff in practice and see how it's actually going to work out. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.